And we are live. Another CEO Wisdom podcast with Ken Kobori. He is founder and CEO at Surf Music. We're going to discuss about music. We're going to discuss about Ken being in Tokyo and being an oddbird. I really like Ken. But this special guy got educated in the US, came back to Tokyo. So Tokyo right now, Ken, it's like 5 a.m. or something like that?
No, it's actually 7:40 a.m.
Not too bad. At least I
Not too
didn't
bad.
woke you up early like last time.
No,
Ken,
it's good.
I am honored to have you on. Before we start, this podcast is brought to you by podbuyer.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to a podcast like this one, or if you want to get sponsors for your own podcast, I can help with that. Podbuyer.com is the way to go. Ken, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about Surf Music.
Yes, hi, I'm Ken Kobori. I have been a music producer for over 20 years now. And, surf music really stemmed from a lot of the problems that I was facing in the music industry. And the platform was designed to solve these problems. So, I was signed to a big management for many years. And when I left them, I was having a very hard time finding new clients to work with just because, I was locked up in the studio making music all the time. So I was like, won't it be great if I could have a platform where I could just upload all my new music that I make? And record labels from around the world, publishers, artists could select it at any time for their artists to sing. And from there, we developed Surf Music, which is now a B2B platform that connects anybody that makes original music to the buyer side, which are, record labels, publishers, gaming companies, ad agencies, and so forth and so on from around the world for exclusive placements. And we've built it so that the creator side is very focused on community building, collaboration, and education, while the buyer side is more of like a Microsoft Office kind of tool where for the music industry, where directors could search for songs very easily using our AI search engine, finding the closest match songs that are up on our platform, and also giving them a connectivity within their company, being able to form teams to find songs for their artists and communicate directly with their artists through our app, and so forth and so on. So, we really focused on, creating the pathway for the next generation of creators and make sure that, they are educated and protected also. And that is, one of our biggest goals at Surf Music.
Tell me about your stories before we dive into detail. I see also Two Soul Music here. You ran that for 20 years. Tell me a bit more about yourself.
So Two Soul Music was the production company I made back in 2003, I believe. And I was actually working as a general assistant at Sony Music Studios in New York. And after working in many sessions with so many great artists, I had this feeling that I could do this too. I can make music also. And I've been playing piano since I was 7, guitar since I was 8, and saxophone was my main instrument for a very long time. And I just had a feeling I could compose too. So I actually went knocking on the door of one of the VPs at Sony Music and telling him that I wasn't happy with the general assistant job. And obviously he told me I could be replaced in seconds. And he was like, why are you coming to me with this? What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to make music and bring it to Japan. I want to change the music industry in Japan. And he's like, okay, that's interesting. And I basically laid down my plan. And he was like, fine, why don't you try it for a month? You can take whoever you need and we'll give you studio time. And that was the beginning of Two Soul. I made 3 songs in 1 month, recorded it at Sony, and brought it back to Tokyo and looking for a deal basically as a writer. I wanted to become a producer. But instead of getting producer offers, I got artist offers, and they wanted Two Soul to be a band and release in Japan. So we ended up, we had multiple offers, but we ended up signing with Universal Music at the time. And while I was thinking of conceptualizing the album, one of the directors there, he was asking me, would you like to produce for other people while you were thinking of your album? I was like, that's exactly what I wanted to do in the first place. So, yeah, I met this girl called AI. Went to one of her shows and they were asking me, what do you think? Do you want to produce her? I said, of course, she's great. And that first artist that produced, she ended up, we ended up writing the seventh most sang karaoke song in history. And that was like the third song that I released. So I got lucky very quick. And yeah, from there, I've just been constantly producing, and I've worked with most of the major artists in Japan from different genres and whatnot. In the States, we've done placements with Disney. I've written for Earth, Wind and Fire, produced them also. It's just a very humbling experience, but my musical journey really took me to many places, but at the same time, I've also realized the inefficiencies of this whole music ecosystem, if you so would say. And even on the business side, on the buyer side, I was helping Universal Music out for several years as a director. And basically given 300 CDs and being like, okay, go find a hit song. And it takes a long time just listening to 15 seconds of 300 CDs. And I was like, there must be an easier way to find the exact song you're looking for. And then when this came out with all the filter tagging and this and that, it was cool, but I was like, no, I need something where I could just cut and paste the YouTube link of a song that I want it to sound like. And I want to find the closest matching song. So we were able to do that with Surf Music, and essentially one of the A&Rs at record labels, now they could just cut and paste the YouTube or Spotify, Apple Music link into our search engine. It takes a 3D print of the waveform, puts 120 data points on it to identify what makes it that song, and it will find the closest match songs on the platform. So essentially, once open an account with Surf Music and you upload all your music, our AI automatically tags all the songs. And if you put it up on the marketplace while you're sleeping, somebody is requesting for songs or doing searches, your song will automatically be pulled into a playlist based on what they're looking for. And we've launched in Taiwan, Korea, Japan, and the States so far. And we had great success at South by this year. We were the finalist for the Innovation Awards in the media division. And later this year, we have plans to open up in Europe, and next year Latin America, a couple emerging markets, and at the end of the year, hopefully China is where we're thinking of opening. So it's been a crazy ride, but I've been enjoying every step of the way, and I think all that experience has really led to where I am today and where surf music is today.
And how did you get that award at South by Southwest? I mean, that's kind of hard, right? Like, how did you present?
Oh
What
yeah.
was the criterias and so forth?
So we wanted to go to South by to showcase ourselves, and as a startup, budget was very low too. And so when we're looking at maybe buying a booth there, it was just way too expensive. So we kind of like dropped that idea. But one of our team members was like, there is a way to go for free and get a booth for free. And well, we were like, enlighten us. And they're like, if we win, if we are chosen as finalists, like top 4 in the world, then you get a free booth. And I was like, whoa, but we didn't even launch yet. So then, so we sped up everything, expedited all our tech development and whatnot, and we made it so that we were able to apply for South by. And we weren't expecting it, but we got chosen as the final 4 in the world. So we had our own booth and we didn't have to pay for it, and we got passes, and it worked out really well.
Did you get business out of that?
Oh yes, of course. We met so many great people there, and which we still keep in touch with, potential partnerships that we're still in talks with and whatnot. But South by was really the kickoff for surf music on a global stage, and we're very, very happy with the results that we got there.
Right. And nowadays, like if I would start my music brand, would be in the EDM field. Seems
Mhm.
like music's still a good product. It's reproducible, right? So if you put out good shit, then people can constantly reproduce these tracks and you can be part of their lives. You
Mhm.
can become an artist that they remember forever. So the product is good. And music, I mean, us humans were somehow weirdly designed to listen to these beats and rhythms and generate
Mhm.
serotonin out of them. So I'm still bullish on the product, just that there's so much competition out there. Can an artist still be successful nowadays?
Of course. I mean, there's many ways of doing it. And, listening to music has changed over the years. And right now, with so much content, video content out there too, and, with streaming services like Netflix and whatnot, they're require, the necessity of original music has risen and is still rising. And I think you just have to be smart on what your goals are. I mean, if you want to place with a major artist, the traditional way will be, maybe try and go get a publishing deal with a big publisher that could go, pitch your songs. Our solution is basically, you know, we're like a one-stop shop for creators, and we really want creators to be able to come to our platform, have our AI being able to recommend, oh, you should work with this person because your catalog sounds like this person in Sweden, so you guys should connect. We have like auto instantaneous translation chats going on, so you could actually set your language to English, Japanese, or Korean. All you do is type in your language. The person will only see the language they have it set at. So it almost feels like there is no language barrier. And I think, a lot of the demographics of music makers has gotten younger and younger over the years, just by through the ease of music making and different tools that they have. And but once they make music, there's really no support after that. So, an elementary, a good example is my son. He just turned 7 years old. He started making his beats when he was 5, using Loop Cloud and putting loops together, which a lot of producers do it that way these days, anyways. But a great songwriter that's on our platform called Jay Lauren. She's a Grammy Award winner, 8-time platinum writer. She's written for Post Malone, Blackpink, beat yeah, 1 o'clock, Ziggy Marley. She won a Grammy with. But she basically, discovered Dean, my son DJ Dean, on the platform, and she was like, "I want to write on one of his tracks." And the one that she chose was the first track he's ever written when he was 5. And she sang on it, and it sounded so good, and we were just like blown away. So it's kind of like, and okay, so as a parent, what do I do from there? Do I go and try to get him a record deal at age 5, at age 7? It's like, probably not. Are you going to find him a manager or try to get a pub deal? Probably not. What's the solution? Yes, you could upload it on YouTube and hope someone discovers it, and upload it SoundCloud. Hopefully someone's, discovers it. Or what I did is I opened an account on Surf Music, and basically uploaded his music. So anybody who's searching for things to collaborate on the creator side, or from the buyer side, if their criteria meets his songs, they'll be automatically pitched. So the goal is really to give access to the global music industry, not only through record labels and publishers in traditional ways, but getting like clients such as gaming companies go directly to the source to get music, instead of going through a record label or a publisher asking for a song that they could use um on their new video game. They could just come to Surf and search by themselves and find music that's never been released before, and have it, have exclusive placements on that end too. So I think, you know there are so many different ways of being discovered, and we're just trying to, open up avenues for creators at different levels. Of course, we do have the Grammy Award winning, big producers, but we have your local bedroom producer, like younger, middle school, high schoolers using our platform too. So I think, there's different avenues of going, but you just have to make sure that you set your goals straight on what, once you make a song, what do you envision this song? Where do you envision this song having a home in? Is it with a major artist, indie artist? just constantly listening to music and being able to kind of like envisioning where your song is going to be heard and by whom it's going to be heard. And I think that really helps guide you towards, you know, your different avenues of releasing your music.
Right. What I need, I think, and what I think would be the most effective model in my case to start my music empire would be a music GPT. So I would just use words and tell them to start a song with Justin Bieber's Sorry. And then I would say, okay, then modify the lyrics to talk about this. Then, okay, less drums, more bass, more electronic until I get the song. How far are we away from that?
I mean, software already exists where you could prompt and get you know the beats made for you and whatnot. Personally, I've never used them in any projects yet, but you know, I mean, the time is definitely coming where you know that is going to be the norm. It was, you know, back in the day when I started making music 20 years ago, you know, to sample something, you had to get it cleared or you had to buy sample CDs and maybe get, you know, 100, 200 songs on a CD, and then you could use those samples. So it was very, I never sampled back in the day, but then, you know, Splice came out and a bunch of these um, subscription sample sites came out, and that became the norm, you know, and now everyone's sampling, and it's not like, oh my god, you didn't play that. It's like, of course you use Splice, and that's accepted. That's how AI I think is going to be. It's like right now it's like, oh, that's kind of scary, like it writes it for you. But if you think about it, it's like samples, you're not playing it anyways, right? And you're finding sounds that people have already played and you're using it in your song. For AI, it's different where you have to actually prompt a machine to actually create that sound. But you know, it's controversial because, you know, how did this machine learn all this, right? It's from inspiration from other music, but that's like humans too. You know, I think my musical background and the influences that I had really have have crafted and guided me to the direction that, you know, music I made. But is that still original? I mean, I think it is, but once you start having an AI model make complete songs for you, is that original? I mean, there's controversy there. There's a lot of gray lines, and I think it'll be very interesting to see how legally all this IP is handled. You know, because there's no stopping the users from using it, and people are going to use it, and which is great for us too as Surf Music, being able to support, you know, different kinds of producers. And you know, back in the day, you know, if you couldn't play an instrument and you were just, you know, using an MPC, a lot of people were calling that finger producers, you know. But like now it's like you don't even need a finger. It's like you don't even program it. You just drag and drop the samples. So I mean, every generation, I think, you know, when they're not used to something or something is new, they're very skeptical, very negative about it. But once, you know, once a hit song is made and, you know, producers are starting to make money off of this, I think everybody will have a different perspective of, hey, I got to get on that too. You know, like how do I use this technology and make that sound? Because that's the sound that everyone wants to hear. And so I think, you know, just keeping an open mind, even as Surf, you know, like we get asked a lot, like, are you allowed to upload, you know, AI generated music? And the answer is like, yes, you can upload it onto your platform. But at the same time, it's like, you know, before a placement is made, there is interactions with the buyer, and these questions might arise. But you know, we just ask that you're honest about it, and you know, there's nothing to hide or be ashamed about using AI. Just as long as that it doesn't infringe on certain IPs. I mean, if you're using, you know, Michael Jackson's voice, say for example, and it sounds exactly like Michael Jackson, you want to release it just as is, then there might be issues, you know. But if you're using it, you know, as a demo and the vocals are going to be replaced, we find a lot of our producers and are also using, you know, the voice changers for demos just because they don't like their voice. And most people don't like listening to their own voices. And I'm one of them too. So as long as it's used responsibly, I think, that's kind of the answer.
I don't like listening to my own voice either. I think it's some natural thing, but I do think I would be able to use that voice and have someone that would be my AI avatar rap in that voice, which is also weird, right? Because if I don't have these rapping abilities myself and a bot has it using my own voice, my own expressions, my own words, then
Yeah.
shit becomes weird. Then Michael Jackson, does he own his own voice? Because these are like sound vibrations coming from his throat. He does own his likeliness, but I do think that ownership is gonna somehow disappear. In the future, I think privacy also, that's a fabulation of the human mind. I think we're getting together in that sense, which is odd to say. And while listening to, I was like, okay, what's going to happen with Justin Bieber, for example, because he sold his whole album. Guetta did the same. Are they seeing something? I know that Guetta is playing with AI. Will they use their own likeliness and possibly their own voice, their own brands, and have a bunch of AIs produce beats for them and then prompt them and say, okay, this is good, this is not. And then also comment at the same time on pure avatars, like brands that are created from scratch. It's not even a real human being, but I think we're approaching that, in which we can create this false artist that's really entertaining, that has a personality. His whole life is on YouTube, but like nothing happens in real life. And he can become a megastar. So I threw a bunch of points at you. Take whatever and whichever is best for you.
I mean, I think, the sky's the limits when it comes to AI, and really even creating video right now. You don't even have to show your face, and you could have an avatar speak on behalf of you. I think it's not far-fetched to say that there'll be avatars where you could create avatars. And actually, there is technology right now where you could create an avatar of yourself and be doing 3 different shows in the metaverse, collecting money from each one at the same time on 3 different platforms, and you're just at home. They just scan your body and they could do the choreography and everything. So it looks like you're performing in the metaverse, but you're actually not even there. So I think, these things are very likely to happen. And, in Japan, it's already happened. Like the artist Hatsune Miku was digitally created, and she fills up stadiums with her performances. Everyone in the anime world knows her. But I think VTubers also, like right now there is, avatars in VTubes too, and there is a person behind it, obviously creating the content, but it's still, the avatar that's the star. So I think it has begun, and with people having interest in anime, like say for Japanese anime, that's the first point that's the first point of entry, I think, into really like falling in love with an avatar, baby, like, because all these anime people who really love the character, like, so I think one of them actually tried getting married to one or something. It's like the lady that may have married the Eiffel Tower, like, I mean, anything is possible in this world. And I think, there's no stopping it. So I think it's just really, about keeping an open mind and seeing how we can work, in correlation with the technology that's being developed, and trying to be as mindful and responsible with it, with these technologies is all we can do. And the rest is, once someone gets that big hit with an avatar and a global hit and number 1 on the Billboard, and they're not even human, and it's an avatar, then it's kind of like, give Milli Vanilli back his Grammys, it's like at least Millie stood on stage, right?
Yeah, the creator, until the AI has
Uh,
rights, until it's
yeah.
considered like as a human. And I indeed think, well, that was my projection. For example, Michael Jackson's estate, I do think they can make a mega fortune, another mega fortune, should I say, with Michael's likeliness, if everyone can give, if they can give the rights. And I think the right approach to do it would be to have Michael's likeliness as a an AI, right? So it's like the full data and the full Michael Jackson, they own it. They know better than no one else who Michael is and what defines Michael. And then people could pay for that AI in an API to get lyrics of the song, to get beats, to even get Michael to advise them on the song. What do you think about that model?
I mean, sky's the limit, as I said, and a lot of some parts of what you're talking about already exist, and I think it's just a matter of packaging it together and making sure the Jackson estate agrees to it. I think, like after Michael has passed, like there has been several songs that already came out, you know, and he's done duets with people, like with tracks that
Drake.
have never been released. I think there's still a whole vault of music that hasn't been released, and this can be very interesting, for producers who can take this music and elevate it and create something new that's really relevant to music today. So I think
Right.
that is a great idea. Yeah.
I think as an agency, I would start an agency and I would come up to them and I'd be like, okay, I'll take all the cost. I'll program Michael. You'll give me as much data as you can. I'll scrape a part of it as well, my side. So I will just charge like 1 to 3% of the royalty, which is a crap ton. Then the question came to my mind, what's the incentive for people not to just copy the voice and to have an open source Michael API out there? The
There
answer to
is one
that is
already, actually.
yeah, I know I've
Yeah,
seen that,
no,
but
no.
it's just that the estate would try to shut it down, right, with cease and desist. But at some point, I think there would be so many of them that eventually you can't just shut it down. And it's kind of the market vs the people, right? It's some kind
Yeah.
of similar case to what we've seen with Pirate Bay and LimeWire. It's like people want music, they don't want to pay for it. And there's the industry, there's Sony on the other side and so forth. My question for you is, with all of that movement in the industry and this innovation, like how are you gonna be part of that with surf music, and what do you want to accomplish over the next couple of years?
I mean, that is a difficult question, and it really depends on which way AI is heading towards. And I think we like to, as Surf Music, support AI tools that help generating your music, and with still maintaining a creative standpoint to it. Songs that are completely generated through prompts, that's another conversation, I think. But I like to encourage, especially the younger generations, to try it out, like see what works. And even though it sounds like Michael Jackson's voice, technically it might not be. And a lot of people sound like Michael Jackson and have that tone quality in their voice. And if they just sample theirs, and they don't call it Michael Jackson, but they call it their name, right? Basically their own model, API model, where people can integrate into the songs. Yes, everyone could say it sounds like Michael, but this one guy will be like, no, I actually, took a sample from my voice and I'm not Michael Jackson. So I mean, it's just like there's so many things about being able to use AI. And I think everyone's going to be finding loopholes here and there so that they could, continue like perfecting this art of AI music. And it's just going to get better and better, the quality, obviously, because people, I mean, the hot phrase right now is, and the controversial phrase, I think, even in Hollywood right now, is AI, doing a lot of the work, replacing some jobs that, should be credited and whatnot. And that's why, that whole strike is going on. But in the music industry too, I mean, it's I know some lyricists that already use AIs to generate lyrics, and they just tweak it here and there. But it's the prompt that created those lyrics. And lyrics is a big part of publishing too in a song. I mean, what do you do with that? Like did you write it, or did you, and then it goes out to even in school. It's like you're given a paper to write. It's like kids are using ChatGPT right now, getting this paper and then putting that paper into another AI thing to shuffle it around so teachers don't find out don't find out that they using a chat GPT thing to write it. But then again, the question is really, why are these kids you doing that? It's because they're almost forced to do a task where they don't want to, and they want to find the easiest way out of it. And that's why, they're not learning anything really by having ChatGPT doing all the research for them. But once, the paper is written, they can read it and they learn about it. So you could call it efficiency, or you could call it laziness. I think it goes around even in the music world. It's like people that can play instruments now, it's like this guitar phrase is perfect. I could play it, but I'd have to go set up my amp, set up the mic. Let me just use it for now, and I'll replace it later. And eventually they're like, oh, it sounds good just the way it is. I'm not going to replay it. And I think that's kind of like, okay, life became a little easier. Let's, as a drummer, it's like, wow, this drum loop sounds great. Oh, shoot, I can play it, but I got to set up 13 mics on my drums and make sure everything is, I got to call my engineer to record it. Whatever the case is, it's just so much easier. Sometimes, but I think it's also the reason why so much music is being created. Also, it's like before it'd take a week to make a song in the studio, to properly record it, to edit it, to mix it, master it or whatnot. And now it's like I can make a song in an hour. And my son, when he makes his beats, he doesn't spend more than an hour and a half making music. That's his attention span at age 7, but he gets it done and he finishes it. So it's just like, because it's so fast now and all these tools are being used, we have so much more music that's oversaturating, the whole marketplace. But at the same time, there's so much more content out there on your mobile device, on the streaming networks and this and that people need music, even if it's for like a snippet for a web commercial or whatnot, that there is demand for it. It's just the process of matching the buyers to the creators and making sure that there's a good fit there. So I think we could go on forever talking about AI, but at the end of the day, it's really, I think, what the audience wants to hear. It's the people that will speak up to say what kind of music they do want to hear. And it's the buyers that are going to speak up on what kind of music, what kind of songs they want to buy and use for their projects. And there's no one in there to say, oh, you use AI, so this isn't a good song. It might be a great song. So I think, we just have to, as surf music, just keep an open mind and just make sure that there's no IP infringement on any songs that are uploaded. I think, educating our producer network about AI and how just giving them gist of how the world is accepting or rejecting AI created songs. Like Spotify banned a whole bunch of AI generated songs from this one website, and that's their policy, that's their take on it. Google banned a lot of AI generated images and artwork and whatnot, and that's their take on it. I mean, who knows, like if rejected from one site, they could definitely find a home on others. And it's not, I think there's no real way of stopping it, but I think just a lot of people are scared about really the potential of what AI can mean for the music industry, and they're not prepared to confront it yet. And thus there's that negative stigmatism that is going around. And once they figure it out, I think it'll be the conversation will be a lot more clear. But right now, it's whatever you're afraid of, you're just kind of like, oh, I want to stay away from that. I mean, that's not good. That's bad. If you can't explain it, then I think we're in that like transitional phase right now.
So interesting and so grateful also to be part of these times, and good
Mm.
for you that you're building a company off that. I'll follow your progress and see how's it going, and I'll keep you posted for my own AI musician career. Where can people find out more about you, Ken?
So if you go to www.discover.surf, you could sign up for a page, a creator's account. If you're a buyer side, we do need to have a meeting with you because all our buyers are vetted, obviously because they'll have access to the unreleased music. But Charles, I will be having Jonathan send you some discount codes. So whoever's watching this who's interested in signing up for Surf, Charles will be able to share a 30% off discount code with you all, so you guys could check it out and sign up and join the community, join the movement.
Love it. And I am Charles Cormier, host of CEOWisdomPodcast.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to a podcast like this one, or even